From WJLA 24/7 News, this is Good Morning Washington, on your side.
And there's no question anxiety can be a debilitating part of life, with many doing all they can to avoid it. But Dr. Alicia says that's the worst possible decision you can make. She's the author of Hack Your Anxiety: How to Make Anxiety Work for You in Life, Love, and All That You Do. And she is here to help repurpose that panic. And I have been so looking forward to sitting down. Thank you so much, Dr. Alicia, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. So I have to say, personally, I am in the midst of reading this book.
It's big.
It is a little bit big, but there's a lot of good
But it's big print.
It is big print. And I'm moving swiftly along. I personally have suffered with anxiety, I feel like, my entire life. And, talking to a lot of people, we hear anxiety is a bad thing. It's a bad thing. There's so many books on, how to suppress it or to get rid of it. But you're saying embrace it. Why?
Right. Well, when we suppress it and try to get rid of it, we actually don't get rid of all of our anxiety. We can escalate it. You know that feeling when you try to relax and you've got this energy going all the time, and it's reminding us that we care about something, that something's at stake, and not all of it is irrational. A good chunk of our anxiety is really rational. They're the things that we care about. It's the things that matter to us. And I think we've gotten the idea that all anxiety is irrational. And when we think that it's irrational and we need to forget about it, we resist it. And when we fight with anxiety, we escalate it. So the opposite is also true. When we can embrace anxiety, see what part of anxiety is actually purposeful, meaningful, rational, then we can keep it in a moderate, useful range.
So let's talk about, an example of being at work and being really anxious at work. You actually say that a little bit of anxiety is actually a good thing, because that means that you care about what you're doing.
Right. Well, if we don't have any anxiety, we might not get out of the bed, and we might not go to work, and we might not stay on a deadline, and we might not perform in the way that we need to perform. It is also true that too much anxiety can cripple us, and too much excessive anxiety can sort of shut everything down and get in the way of our functioning. But a moderate amount of anxiety is correlated to optimal functioning. And this is research that's been around for 100 years, actually. And it's research that's in other areas. It's in sports psychology, it's in business psychology. I think inherently many of us know that a moderate amount of stress and anxiety can help us function at our best. But when we use that word anxiety, we get afraid. And my hope is for people not to be afraid of their anxiety, because that's the worst possible thing you can do.
Exactly. Talk to us a little bit maybe about some of the myths of anxiety.
Well, one of the key myths is that anxiety is dangerous, and it's really not dangerous. It's at its worst, it can make us uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. It actually helps us stay focused on what we need to do. The other two things that people believe is that there are many, that we can't control anxiety, that it just takes us over, and we can control anxiety. We can control how we think about anxiety.
But how do we do that? Because as an anxious person, when you start thinking about something and the wheels just start turning, how do you make it stop?
So you think to yourself, this is anxiety trying to help me. This is reminding me of something I care about. Okay. I'm going to take a deep breath. If I'm over the edge into too much anxiety, I'm going to try to get it moderate. And I'm going to remember, I don't have to be comfortable for this to be helping me.
Okay.
I think one of the things that we get stuck on is we think we should be comfortable. Who says we have to be comfortable? We're not comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
And usually when we're really at our peak performance, we're not comfortable. And that edge of discomfort can help us stay motivated.
And you actually were telling me, and I think we actually have the graph, it's the Yerkes-Dodson curve? Did I get that right?
Yerkes-Dodson curve, named after the two psychologists in the 1920s that discovered that a moderate amount of arousal is correlated to peak performance. Right up there at the top is where we want to be.
Okay. So you don't want to just have absolutely maybe no anxiety? And then, of course, that was the other question that I had. Is there a big, is there a difference between just having anxiety and actually having an anxiety disorder?
Yes, anxiety is a normal human emotion. We all have it. Anxiety can become an anxiety disorder when we aren't able to harness it effectively and when we get in a habit of being afraid of it. Because when we're afraid of anxiety, when we say, uh-oh, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, we get really activated, and that's how we push ourselves into panic.
Okay.
That is how panic happens. That's also how phobias develop. You know, if we avoid getting in an elevator because we feel uncomfortable, because we saw a movie about somebody getting stuck in an elevator, and we allow ourselves to avoid that elevator, and then the next time we avoid the elevator, pretty soon we're going to get afraid of that elevator. And as we get afraid of the elevator, we're afraid of the building that has the elevator in it. We get activated just thinking about walking in the building that has the elevator in it. It's really profound how much control we have over our thoughts. That's really the hope here.
Yeah.
But it's also profound that when we make a choice to be afraid of things, we lay down associations that can continue to hurt us and continue to scare us. And that's what I believe leads to anxiety disorders. And that's, of course, what many people need help detangling.
Exactly.
To get to the place where they can use it again.
But bottom line, you're saying that a little bit of anxiety is actually a good thing and we should embrace it.
Yes, that's exactly my point.
Perfect. Dr. Alicia Clark, thank you so very much for coming in on Good Morning Washington.
Thank you.
Again, Hack Your Anxiety, how to make anxiety work for you in life, love, and all that you do. I highly recommend it. Thank you again.
Eileen.